Alright, yo, what's good? Sorry if the mic sounds a little bit shit. My pop filter just doesn't want to sit on the mic. Every time I try and move it near it, it just fucking pulls away. That's what you get for buying shitty Chinese pop filters. So sorry if the sound a little bit intense. I will sort it, but whatever. You know, things are a bit weird with the channel. I am going to be uploading. I've got Dibble helping me as well. So yeah, I suppose expect content, but maybe just a bit of different content. Anyways, in today's video, I actually wanted to do a proper video for a change, and I want to say I'm going to review Cyberpunk, but I'm really not going to structure this, nor am I going to plan it or edit it like a full-blown review like some of them, that exist on YouTube or what have you. So if you're looking for something a bit more professional, this probably isn't the thing for you. I do just want to give my opinions on the game, and I know I'm a little bit late to all of this, but I want to talk about it, say what's good, what's not so good, and all of that good shit. So yeah, let's crack on. So I was not a player that followed this game. I didn't give a fuck about it. In fact, I didn't even really follow it until it came out, which is quite funny. I knew of its existence, again, very similar to No Man's Sky, but I never really bought into it. So this review isn't coming from, a guy that waited his entire life and spent his entire life savings to get a custom-built Cyberpunk PC to watch hentai on. Like, I'm just a normal fucking bloke. I barely play video games, and this is my 2 cents. The bugs issue, which I'll talk about first of all, to be honest, I'm playing on PC, and I'm also playing on the latest version, and I didn't play this game at launch. I played it probably like 3-4 days after it came out, so most of the problems which I think were fucking around with the gameplay were resolved, and also the game was an absolute state on base consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox One, or was it the PS5 and Xbox One X? I don't fucking remember. The last gen consoles, it could not fucking deal with it, so that's where a lot of the problems came from. With myself, obviously, I played it on PC, so, I didn't have these issues with graphical bugs and what have you. So, like, in terms of the bug side of things, really, I didn't have that many problems. In fact, I think the most annoying bugs which I did encounter, because there weren't that many, were just things like item descriptions getting stuck on the screen. I had that shitty side mission with the Delmain cabs, or Delamain, or however you say it, the self-driving cabs, where I'd go near them and they wouldn't activate. My biggest issues have been with pop-in, and also like the camera in the car not changing perspective, because first-person driving in this game is fucking abysmal, and I don't think it will ever get fixed. There's probably like 2 cars in the game which are actually drivable in first person, so I had the problem where if I was in first person and I wanted to change to third, because I'm 3'5" and need a fucking booster seat to see over the bonnet, it would just shit itself and it wouldn't be able to fucking do anything. I'd be stuck in first person, running people over, crashing into shit, because I'm literally a dwarf in a big car. That was by far the most annoying problem which I had. I don't know why that's still a problem as well, but the game, to be honest, is just a big fucking mess, and it's really impressive actually that this game could be so poorly made. This is what everyone's saying. Cyberpunk needed like another 2 years, like at least another 2 years to even be like semi-playable, because in its current state it's just not fucking great. I also want to address the cut content issue, which ties in with people, expecting too much. And don't get me wrong, like CD Projekt Red, from what I can tell, did bullshit a great portion of this game, particularly with how it was initially sold as like a role-playing game. You could choose your kind of character, sort of be who you want in a bit of like a Skyrim or Fallout-esque way of doing things, which later turned into a, what do they call it, a story-driven action shooter or something. They completely changed the genre of the game, which is fucking hilarious. But that's where a lot of the cut content comes in with, like meaningful life paths, which just didn't exist at all, apart from the prologue and like a few dialogue options. The big one for me was the lack of the N-cart system, the public transport. You can still find unused N-cart stations around the map. You can find, I found like little broken pieces of subway which would have existed. There's a fully functioning track as well, which goes around the map, and it's just fucking depressing. Some areas you can just really feel the cut content. I think Pacifica is like the biggest sufferer of this. Pacifica is the most underdeveloped part of this game. Like, what the fuck do you even do there apart from the story? The shit all. There's about a quarter of the map which is actually playable. The rest is just 2D mesh. And I've spent more time in Cyberpunk recently using no-clip, going out of bounds and in places I shouldn't do to look at shit which could have been, rather than playing the game. And this is how I found, like, the subway system, the N-cart tracks. Hell, there's even some shit outside of Pacifica which looks like it should have been properly implemented. But again, they just didn't have enough fucking time. The issue with Cyberpunk, and I will say this straight away, is that the cut content is so suffocating at points in time. Like, don't get me wrong, I had the most amount of fun in this game, playing the story, getting really into the characters and the music and the set design. Like, I fucking loved that. And the other part of the game which I enjoyed was breaking it, using no-clip, going out of bounds, and sort of documenting these little missing pieces of gameplay which should have made it to the final cut. But the point is, when you're not doing anything in Cyberpunk, when you've completed all of the main story and you're not doing a side gig or, you know, a fucking car race or whatever, there is so little to do. It's depressing, to be honest. Night City, in terms of the map, is absolutely fucking beautiful. Like, I've genuinely never played a game which feels so alive, yet so fucking dead and so lifeless. It's shocking. Because what people say about Cyberpunk is that it's entirely window dressed. You can walk in the streets and feel like you're in a living, breathing metropolis. Like, it's beautiful. And don't get me wrong, like, this game in terms of its visuals and its sound design is fucking incredible, and I'd always give it a 10 out of 10 in that. But the moment you start trying to break things, the moment you divert from the very, very linear path which you're given, is when you start to notice that there is no complicated behavior or algorithms or I don't know, I'm not a developer, there's no complexity to anything. You shoot a gun at the ground and NPCs either cower in their place or they run away. There's no sort of, you know, hand-to-hand combat like in GTA. There's no, I don't know, strip clubs you can go to and, like, fuck a robot. Like, you can't even eat food. Like, you buy a piece of food and it's just an inventory item. Like, where the fuck is the animations? I can play a story mission and eat a bowl full of noodles or drink a quarter bottle of tequila with, like, a full-fledged animation which makes me rock hard. Why can't I do this shit in single player, in free play? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So the problem I found with Cyberpunk is that once I noticed this, I just couldn't enjoy the game as much, because initially I had this overwhelming excitement. I was like, fucking hell, I've been thrown into this big ass city, there's a load of content which I can do, and I was excited initially to, you know, kind of work my way up to start as this little cretin that's trying to find his feet, and I wanted to, like, you know, balls into apartments, stumble across something, you know, maybe get into a bit of trouble which is randomly scripted, but there's none of that. There's none of that at all. And outside of the main story, as I keep saying, there's just so little. There's little role playing, there's little substance, and it means really that once you've completed the main story, I found personally, there's really no incentive to play the rest of it. I haven't touched it since I completed the main story. I think I did like one side gig and got so bored I played Euro Truck Simulator. Like, you know, there's something fucking wrong when I'd rather play Euro Truck Simulator over your shitty AAA game. But that's a lot of negativity, you know, but I just want to get that out there because the game could have been so much more. And this is why I say, and this is why everyone on the fucking internet says that this game needed 2 years at least to be developed, because shit me, like, using no clip, I found complete areas of the map that are unused. There's a building with like an elevator inside of it, which is supposed to be like a club with multiple stories. And there's just like these empty shells and remnants of what could have been. And I got very obsessive with it to the point I was just depressing myself, to be honest. It's like, I don't know, you break up with your girlfriend and you're so upset and you just get absolutely paralytic off JD Honey. You know it's gonna fucking kill you. You know that you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night crying and shit your pants, probably piss the bed as well, but you still fucking do it. You still hope that you'll get something good out of it, and that's the best way I can sum up Cyberpunk. It's like you're 17, you've had your first breakup, and you get pissed in a field. But that's not to say that there isn't any positives about this game. Like I said before, shit, like the story is brilliant. Like I've never been involved with video game stories. Like I play video games for the content, you know, the gameplay, the action, whatever. Like call me a basic white girl, but like, to be honest, like if I want to play a game for the story, I'll watch a film. Like I don't want to sit there on my arse, you know, twiddling my thumbs waiting for gameplay. Like I will, up until recently, skip pretty much every cutscene, not have a fucking idea what's going on, but just kind of go balls deep into the combat and enjoy myself. Cyberpunk completely changed that, which I find actually quite funny. You know, I got so invested in the story, you know, with the multiple endings as well, which I won't spoil, but my ending was fucking awful. It was so awful, I actually felt personally offended. I felt so awful, I went on multiple links on the Cyberpunk wiki, on YouTube videos, to try and get the correct ending which I wanted, which involved Silverhand, because I felt so strongly about the characters. I felt so strongly about this story which I was playing, and that's really unusual for me. So like I give the game the biggest load of credit I possibly can for the story. On the topic of Silverhand, you know, people talk about how Cyberpunk was probably ruined by Keanu Reeves and the character of Johnny Silverhand. And I can see why, because people say that prior to Keanu Reeves being like the, you know, fucking poster girl for this game, it was supposed to be a little bit more humble. The story was supposed to be, you know, more revolved around your kind of journey to the top, rather than this far-fetched dystopian, you know, fucking Blade Runner fucking, I don't know, but like Johnny Silverhand, in my humble opinion, is a fucking brilliant character. I would not trade him for anything. I absolutely love the development, and although at points he was a little bit boring, I guess you could say, just being, you know, so pessimistic and just spouting the same shit, but like I grew to love him, you know, and genuinely I would not care about Cyberpunk's story as much had it not been for Silverhand. Like, I didn't give a fuck about any of the other characters. Jackie was alright, but like he was so underutilized, I barely felt anything when, you know, events unfold, so that was a bit peak. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that the story's brilliant, the visual's brilliant, the music especially. Absolutely love the music. Every song on the radio was a slapper. A couple of them were a little bit repetitive, where they kept playing, kept hearing them in places. But other than that, like especially in story missions, it all fit very nicely. Coupled with the beautiful animation and the set dressing with, you know, NPCs drinking and smoking and changing positions when talking to you, it's very versatile, and you can see that a lot of the effort went into the story side of it, the animation side of it, in cutscenes, in scripted events, but outside of that, they either didn't have enough budget or talent or time, I don't fucking know. But if you want to play Cyberpunk, you want to play it for the story, you want to play it for the aesthetic, the ambience of it is thick. Like I would fuck it, it's thick as fuck, like genuinely. Crafting I never got into. Gunplay I felt was a little bit boring, nothing special, didn't really feel that weighty. One thing I will say about gunplay is that the ragdolls were so fucking awful. I think that's what ruined gunplay. When I think about good gunplay, I think about like GTA 4 with the Euphoria ragdoll physics. You know, you shoot someone in the shoulder, they're gonna kind of pull back in where you shot them. It's gonna be like a little bit of physics, a bit of weight. There's none of that with the ragdolls in Cyberpunk. You shoot someone anywhere, they'll collapse into a T-pose, their knees gone like 6 inches into their ass. Like, it's awful. It just makes the gunplay feel so floaty and horrible. Like, it's not satisfying at all. It's like I'm just filling like balloons with bullets. Like, there's no sustenance to it whatsoever. I will say though that I would happily invest in some DLC. I would like to see DLC for Cyberpunk. I think they can do a load with it. In terms of the multiplayer, I couldn't give less of a fuck about the multiplayer. If anything, it just gives me very strong Skyrim multiplayer mod vibes. I think it'll be that kind of level of quality. Just like T-posing, like 10 FPS fucking player models just walking around. Like, no way. Unless it's being developed, like it's been outsourced or completely reworked. Trying to slap multiplayer onto that pile of shit is pretty much the equivalent of Fallout 76. like, I just can't see it working. I would say pick up Cyberpunk. Give it a little bit of time. I mean, it's already gone down a load in price, but it's a decent game. Like, I'll give it that. It's decent. I'd say it's slightly above average. The story was memorable and the set piece was memorable. You know, the map's brilliant, but outside of that, there's not really all that much to gas. So yeah, I'll give it probably a solid like 6, maybe a 7, probably a 7. You know, just slightly above average. Just kind of like, it's just kind of teasing you a bit. You know, it's just sort of like tickling your inner thigh, but it's never going forward with the foreplay. It's just like, it doesn't do anything, you know. But whilst you're doing it, it's pretty fun. But then afterwards, you just feel kind of guilty and empty. So again, like a 17-year-old relationship. So yeah. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Take care. See you all soon. Bye-bye.